Think about the academic conferences you've been to in the last few years. Can you think of one that had a speaker who identified as a woman, as LGBTQ+, as a Black Indigenous person of color, as disabled? How many of the events had speakers from multiple of these categories? What about from all of the categories? Many of you will have answered no to the last question. The lack of diverse representation in conference speakers has been noticed in all fields of research. However, it is only the tip of the iceberg of social issues in academic conferences, as there is also a lack of diversity in conference attendees and of consideration for individuals who have typically been excluded from these events. Now think about a time where you were trying to plan an event. What part of the process were you working on? Finding a venue, organizing transportation, choosing speakers? All of these tasks are much more complex than they seem on the surface. Take venue finding, for instance. One might initially think the only requirement is having enough space to accommodate all attendees. However, this line of thinking excludes large groups of people from feeling welcome at the event. Are there gender-neutral washrooms for gender-diverse individuals, private spaces for rest and prayer, ramps and elevators for physically disabled people? A number of things to consider for just the venue itself can be overwhelming. How can these problems be addressed? We believe that changes must come from the top. While individuals can make a difference, conference organization committee members have significantly more control and responsibility to make conferences inclusive. However, we recognize the challenges that individuals face when planning conferences, and we hope to support them in that. Who's we? We are a group of graduate students at UBC with an interest in accessibility and diversity. We came together to support an existing UBC project on making conferences more inclusive. The group who had started this project had written content on the topic, but had not devoted time to the architecture of information or the design of the toolkit that would contain it. These are the tasks we took upon ourselves. We began by conducting interviews with conference organizers to better understand their needs. The interviews illuminated 6 primary considerations for the design of the toolkit. 4 of them were related to content rather than architecture or design. These results were passed to content writers for their consideration. The other 2 themes were about organizing the information in a way that is intuitive and designing the toolkit's interface to be welcoming and not make users feel defensive. To address the issue of content organization, we conducted a card sort to understand how people intuitively group sections of content. We ran this activity twice, first with only section titles to get a preliminary idea, and second with section titles and descriptions to get the final architecture. Then we were able to begin development of a prototype. We chose to develop the toolkit as a website because we wanted it to be digital for easy distribution, and we wanted to make the information to be quickly available without needing to install any software. We first sketched a design for each of the page types we needed, then quickly moved to programming a higher fidelity prototype. The prototype was developed using UBC's content management system due to its low technical skill requirements, ease of access, and credible UBC website address. The content was taken directly from the content writers, and the custom styling was made using CSS with accessible web design in mind. The main page of the website is the home page, which contains a brief introduction to the toolkit and link cards to each of the section landing pages. Each landing page has an introduction to the section and link cards to each of the pages with detailed content. These detailed pages contain general content relevant to the topic and accordions containing further details. They also contain a sidebar for quick navigation within the section. After developing the prototype, we conducted user tests with conference organizers. Overall, feedback was good, with all users saying they would use the site in the future. We also received suggestions to further improve the site, such as by including examples of inclusive conferences and reducing the amount of text in favor for other types of media.